Hi, my name is Leah Day, and welcome to this video for the Free Motion Quilting Project. Today we're learning another new design which you can use in the Express Your Love quilt. And it's a beautiful edge to center design, very similar to the basic maze designs that we learned many weeks ago. It's basically the same idea, only now we're going to make that line wiggly. So this is Wiggle Maze. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do in this design is stitch a wiggly line from edge to center and then stop. And you can see I go a little bit further past center, and that's fine. I'm going to kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm going to sometimes stitch into the center of this space. I'm sometimes going to stitch only just a little, little bit into that area. It just depends on how I'm feeling. Now all I do is travel stitch back, stitch out, and wiggle down again. This time I'm only going to take it that far. When I say you want to play with it, you just really want to have a nice variety of lengths to your wiggly line. Like there, I made that one a lot longer. It just looks better. It makes it look really interesting. And then when we go in to match up the opposite side of this design, it's really going to make this kind of the connections, the place where the lines butt up against each other, it's just going to add more interest to that area, especially when the lines aren't all the same length all the way across. Now this design really allows you to get a lot of practice travel stitching. You can see how carefully I'm coming down and then travel stitching back. And that is a really important skill to learn when free motion quilting. Travel stitching is probably one of the most important skills to master, simply because it allows you to stitch so many designs. You just can't stitch them unless you can travel stitch. And this is a great design to practice with. Even if you stitch off your line, even if it's slightly imperfect, it's still going to look great. And it'll give you that necessary practice that you need, that way to practice, and even if you mess it up, it'll still look good. So here I'm going to stitch a really tiny one so you can come down just a little bit and pop back up, and that's just fine. If you wanted to, let's say you wanted a nice decorative edge around a block, you really wanted to set that block off, all you'd have to do is just stitch this section of the design, just coming down from the edge of the block with this little wiggly line and travel stitching back. That's going to add so much nice definition to that edge of the block. You don't have to add the other side. This almost looks like icicle lights, like frozen water hanging down from the side of a building. It's a really nice effect. So I'm going to just do two more of these. Make this one nice and long. And then I'm going to hop over to the opposite side and show you how to fill the opposite edge. Okay, so I have completed this first edge, and I'm actually going to swing this around and stitch basically from this edge into the center, working basically exactly the same way, only this time I'm going to be stitching from left to right rather than, right to left rather than left to right. So let's see how this works. Basically I'm going to wiggle down, and I'm going to bring that wiggly line, and see there was a little extra space, so I just added that one in. And now I'm going to travel stitch, and I'm going to meet up this wiggly line with the one from the opposite side. I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch space between those two lines. So like right there, I'm going to stop right there and start my travel stitching. It's the little extra space that gives this design a very characteristic look. I don't know what it is about it. There's mazes. This was actually inspired by a very simple maze in a coloring book, and I think there's something about it that it's almost an optical illusion. When you're looking at it, it just looks fun and funky, and you're almost kind of looking for those little spaces, those little gaps to get your way out, and I love that about it. So I'm wiggling down and coming back up, and like I said, even if you stitch off your line as you travel stitch back up, let's just pretend I kind of stitched off my line there. It's not too bad. That's fine. And if you really want to hide it, go back in there and kind of stitch right between those lines, and that can hide it sometimes. Depends on how far apart the lines are, of course, But I promise I spend a lot of my time hiding little mistakes like that just by adding a little extra thread. And I love that tip. You can always add more fiber. It's something I live by. So that is looking great. And like I said, you could leave on your quilt just one half of the design. Just this. You could just stitch this around the block or around an applique, and that's going to look beautiful. Or if you have sashing that you want to fill up, you could use this section of the design and where you stitch into the center from one side, break thread or travel stitch to get to the opposite side, and stitch into the center from the opposite side. So I hope that you have enjoyed learning how to quilt Wiggle Maze. This fun, wiggly design is a little bit more complex than it looks. There's a lot of travel stitching involved. But the thing about that is you get a lot of practice, you get a lot of bang for your buck with this design, so it's definitely worth giving a try. My name is Leah Day, and this has been a video for the Free Motion Quilting Project. Find hundreds of videos stitching out many beautiful free motion quilting designs at freemotionproject.com. Also, find any tools and supplies you see in this video, like my gloves or my Supreme slider, any tools that I use specifically for free motion quilting at leahday.com. We have a quilt shop there, and that is what supports the Free Motion Quilting Project. So until next time, let's go quilt.